excited to come to you today to answer some questions that you submitted from the email that John Ellinger sent out last week about things you'd want to know from Don. So Don's here on the hot seat, ready to answer your questions. So are you ready?
I'm absolutely ready.
All
Good
right.
morning, Jamie. Thank you for having me. Good morning to everyone else out there. And welcome to Jamie's set here on stage with Jamie.
All right, so here we go. So these are your questions that you submitted, and we'll start with the first one. So the first one is, what are some of your favorite things about working at Drive Time so far?
Well, first of all, before I answer that, I want to thank you for those that have sent in questions, because it's very helpful for us to get that engagement and have everyone participate. So thank you for sending in questions. Some of my favorite things are kind of what we're doing right now. I really like the engagement level of our team and our corporate team and our field team, and that's really been one of the bright spots for me personally as I've come in. Specific things, I really believe I love the culture, and I love the attitudes, and I love the environment. And on the culture front, I will actually send another request out there. I think maybe in our follow-up, the next dish that we do here, I'd like to get a little input on our culture and maybe pose that out in the form of a question to you guys. So that's big. It's important to us, and so right now I really am enjoying and like what I see. The other things that I really like are I feel a real burn to win here, and that's great. There's a winning attitude and cooperation and a lot of collaboration that I really have enjoyed. And I think the biggest thing is that I'm inspired by everyone here. So I think when you come in inspired and the people around you inspire you, it's contagious. And so those are the things that have really hit me in the early weeks that I've been here.
So the next question is, how will we distinguish ourselves from our competitors in the new space that we've entered?
That's another great question. One of the things I would, and we get asked that a lot, to be honest with you, and I get asked that a lot from others and inside and outside of our organization. First of all, I would just say that I think sometimes we can get a little too focused on our competitors. My initial response to that question is, our distinguishing characteristic, we're going to focus on the customer and not the competitor. So I would just ask that everyone do the same. I think if we keep the customer in the center of the kind of the epicenter of our business, that's way more important than looking at our competitors. So, and I think that's what distinguishes us is the customer's front and center, and that's important. The other thing is the space is wide open in the used car space. Used vehicles sold in the United States are about 3 times the amount of new vehicles sold in the United States, and it's a very fragmented space. So there's plenty of room for everyone out there, and of course we want to dominate it.
All right, so next question. This should be a fun one. How do you spend your day?
It's interesting. I ask myself that a lot when I get home at night, how I spent my day. So I look at it retrospectively. But I'm in my coming about my third week, I guess, here, coming into my 4th week, and I'm really trying to be a good listener, and so much of my day is spent asking a lot of questions. I have way more questions than I have answers at this point, and I really spend a lot of time getting to know everyone. We're a large organization. We've got a lot of great teams. We've got a lot of departments, and so early on, I've spent a lot of my time with people, and I'm grateful that it's less email and more people, and that makes me happy. So I think just early on, I'm really trying to listen and understand, and that's why one of the first things we asked of you was to submit questions. So I think one of the best ways is to hear what's on your mind in the form of a question and let us deal with it that way. So I know that's probably a little bit of a generic answer, but in week 3, that's where I should be spending most of my time.
Okay, so last question. What is your philosophy when it comes to being a leader, and in particular, our leader?
Again, these are great questions. For the first rounds of questions, I think you guys have nailed it. But I think there's a number of ways you can look at philosophy, and mine is pretty simple. One of the things I really look at first is to surround ourselves with good people. And when you start looking, that's a very easy thing to say, is to surround yourself with good people. But I think it's not only having the the right people, it's having the right people in the right responsibilities in the right seats. And so, as the early stages, not only looking, I feel very, good about our team and the people we have, but then looking to make sure that they're in the best position to have their own personal success and contribute to our team success. So I think the people side of it, and just one of the things you'll probably hear often from me is that the three things that I look for in people are, I call it the 3 I's, and it's intensity, integrity, and intelligence. And I think if we've got those three things, and throughout the organization, if we've got people that are intelligent, they have high integrity, and the intensity level is high, and we work together as a team, we're gonna have a lot of success. And then, I kind of joke about this, but I say there's 3 types of people out there, and there's people that make things happen, there's people that watch things happen, and then there's those people that said, what just happened? And so, I really put everyone into this category. And we've got a lot of people that make things happen here. So that's, it's one of the things that I think is a fundamental philosophy of mine. The other thing is I think we are innovative, and innovation is a business philosophy of mine to make sure we're innovative. I also say we're either in 2 camps. You're either green and growing, or you're ripe and rotting.
Yeah.
And everyone should feel good that we're all in the green and growing category. And I just think that's a fundamental philosophy. I also call it I squared, which is not embarrassed to imitate, but then we got to innovate. So if we imitate and innovate, it's kind of the I squared formula that I look for. And I think always looking forward. I think the reason we have our eyes in front of our head is to always be looking forward. If we were looking backward at things, we'd have our eyes in the back of our head. And I think we just got to challenge ourselves. If we're not challenged, we won't change. So change is very vital. So the whole innovation piece would be part 2 of my business philosophy. And then I think the other thing is we're all competitors. I personally am a pretty competitive person, and to create a winning environment and winners. And there's a lot of ways you can win. And what I kind of say is that winning is not the point. Wanting to win is the point. And so if we have that burn to win, which is one of the things I identified, I said it's one of the favorite things I've seen so far. That burn to win is another core philosophy. And then preparation. I think you have to really spend a lot of time prepared. And you'll hear me say that it's not only the will to win, but it's the will to prepare. And for those that prepare and do their work, you're in a way better position to win and have success. And then finally, on the success front, we talk about success a lot, we talk about winning a lot, but there's a real difference between being successful and being significant. And I think if we keep the notion of being significant, and that's how we work together, that's how we contribute, and we give back to the community, and that's significant, and it's also a sign of success if you're in a position to be able to do that. So my 3 little basic business fundamental philosophies.
Well, thank you so much, Don, and thank you all for submitting your questions to him. And so we love being able to hear from you, and then also be able to learn a little bit more about Don as well. So thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you next time on The Dish.
Great. Thank you for putting this together.